Welcome to the She Built This podcast, where we talk to and about women building bodies, businesses and lives. I'm Samantha Charwood, and I'm known for working with women looking for their bodies to keep up with them as they adventure through life. My unique framework combines body, mind, heart and soul through the lens of conventional things like evidence-based exercise, nutrition and pain science, but also less conventional things like individual spiritual practice. In this season, I'm talking to women in business who have overcome enormous physical and mental challenges and how they support their bodies and minds through these. So settle in and enjoy listening to these phenomenal women and the stories they have to share. So good to have you here. This is Hayley Forbes, who is joining me today to talk on the She Built This podcast. Hayley, I'm just going to let you introduce yourself because you do it the best. So talk to me. So talk about where you are now. What are you doing right now? So, go.
Big question. Okay, so for people that don't know me, I've got two businesses. So I'm an online business coach and mentor, and then I've got a coaching academy where I train people in frequency and printing and coaching. Outside of that, I've got 4 kids, a home educate, based up in Scotland, pink hair, 2 doggies, live in the middle of nowhere, and I think that pretty much sums up everything.
We're not getting the full vibe of the hair today, actually. So on the video, we can't. Yeah, we're like you can just about see a glimpse, but normally it's pretty pink, isn't it? It's one of your known for things. So, okay, cool. Let's go back then, because I think everybody would be really fascinated because you have a really unique path to finding what works for your health and strength and wellness. So, take me back if you can, then to maybe even like childhood. How did you, was there any influence of athleticism or any sporting things that you did or anything like that? And then what it was that kind of made you go, I need to sort my stuff out now?
Yeah, so I've always had this drive, and I think you know this about me, Sam, as well, of like, I want to do this thing, let's go and do it, right? And it's how I've built up the businesses so successful to where they are as well. And as a kid, I've always had that. And so when you talk about like, maybe kind of like sports or fitness and things, it was the same kind of thing. Like there's nothing I can't do. And I was really close to my big brother. We were a year apart in age. So then it was climbing up trees. It was building dams. It was playing rugby, but I also done dance. And do you know what I mean? Just anything I could. But I also really struggled because I was in a lot of pain on a regular basis. And also, we now know I've got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but as a child, we didn't. So, primary 1, I remember I got a gold star one day. I came home with this gold star and I was so happy and proud. And my mum asked, what did I get that for? And it's because I didn't fall for that whole day. So I fell every single day. Like I was covered in bruises, like my stepdad refused to take me to swimming because I was literally covered in that much bruises because my joints are so unstable. They just couldn't support me.
So you want to just describe, because if you want to describe your condition then, so that people have got, because if you haven't heard of it, then it might be a unique thing. So people...
It's a genetic connective tissue disorder, and the best way that I explain it is that everything is over flexible. Now that sounds fun and sounds exciting, but in reality it's not. So it means that nothing is stable. My whole body is kind of wobbly, and it would take me working out strength training in the gym 3 to 5 times a week just to have the same stability that a normal person has in their muscles. And I can easily overextend. So normal kind of like I can't go to Pilates, like I can't do yoga because I will naturally overextend and not realize I'm doing it until I get the pain the next day. So it makes all my joints really unstable, and then things have caused, like I've then had conditions that came from that. It's also internal as well. So my organs, everything, like all the tissues. So that affects so many different things. But essentially it is that it's not that I don't have enough connective tissue, it's just that it doesn't work properly. So the collagen doesn't work properly, connective tissue doesn't work properly. So yeah, as a child, what that meant was that I would literally trip over thin air. And that's what the teachers used to say is like, Hayley just trips over nothing. And it's because my ankle would roll or my knee would roll or something would, I sublux my joints a lot.
Okay.
And that still happens all the time as an adult. So what that is it's almost like dislocation, but not quite. So my joints, so in the supermarket, I'll be bending down to pick something off the bottom shelf
Yeah.
and I bend
Your
down and my
knee
knee
would go. Yeah. Yeah.
and luckily I can get it back in. It doesn't come fully out, but then you've got maybe 2 weeks of pain following that. It happens with my wrist, like so pushing the kids in buggies like that, my wrist used to go all the time. And I was referred to a physio in primary school who told my mum I was hypermobile. But that was it. Nothing was said, nothing was done. And it wasn't actually until I had my second son that I was officially diagnosed by a rheumatologist with it. So it was kind of known and I was kind of treated for it roughly from about the age of 17 up to 20. Yeah, it must have been 25, about 25, 26 is when I was officially diagnosed with it.
Okay. And so what was the point then? So at that point, did you kind of go, okay, I need to sort something out? Or did you kind of just have a kind of, oh, this explains a lot? And, what happened after that?
I think I'd already been trying to do that. I'm someone that always, the reason I actually got into coaching is because I've always been obsessed with like health hacks. So I love a health hack. So I've always really looked into like it's not just health hacks, it's optimizing everything, right?
Yeah.
So even as I was a young mum, I tried for my son though. We tried for my first son for 18 months. I couldn't fall pregnant. And it was actually because I was underweight. Now, the reason I was underweight was because I couldn't eat because I had gallstones. So I would get such massive flare-ups. Again, it's like the amount of stomach issues that's related with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is crazy. And I was in and out the hospital 5 times over 3 years, and they just kept on giving me Gaviscon. Like, you've just got indigestion. Until eventually someone scanned me and noticed, and they're like, these are really bad. Are you not in agony? And I was like, yeah. So I went and I ended up getting my gallbladder taken out when I was 21. And at the hospital, I remember they sent a nutritionist to me because I was so underweight and concerned about me not eating. And I was like, I'm literally eating a pack of salt and vinegar McCoys and a Galaxy Ripple right now. This is the first time I've been able to eat food like this without being in pain. Like, I've not been able to eat. So even then I started to look into like, I can't just keep on doing this. Like, the doctors aren't listening, the hospitals aren't listening, starting to take control of that. And then through pregnancy, like, I was told I couldn't have a home birth because of my condition, but I really wanted a home birth, advocated it, had the best. So there's been a lot of having to advocate for myself. And I think part and parcel that comes with that is you then also have to take control because nobody listens to you. Because then it's like, oh, well, you obviously just don't exercise enough, or oh, you're just not doing this, or just have a warm bath, or your nutrition. So it's almost like if you've got a health condition, you have to go with so much kind of like perfected in your life to be like, no, like even as a kid, I remember when I was 13, they tried to put me on antidepressants, but I was dealing with chronic like sleep problems due to the pain I was in.
Yeah.
It was back pain and not being able to sleep properly. And the
Making
doctor was, I was like, antidepressants. I said no, but then that was it. That was their only answer. So I think it wasn't like a moment. So it wasn't when I got diagnosed, or it wasn't like a specific moment. It was almost like as a child, just really learning that I'm someone that really wants to go after big things. And that comes with consequences. But then also, if I want to try and improve my health and not have as many of these consequences, I really need to advocate for myself and see, well, what can I do? What is this condition? Like, what am I dealing with? Like, what are the alternatives? Because it feels like nobody's listening to me.
And I think a lot of people listening will recognize themselves in that, even if it's so a lot of like people going through menopause, for example, and you kind of get fobbed off a little bit, or just try this medication or just try that. And actually, you're right, isn't it? Sometimes it is about being fairly dogged in your determination of like, actually, no, things are not right. And the NHS is fabulous, and sometimes you do just need to kind of just keep going back. And I think that's right, just questioning things and not accepting them for what they are. This is such a great message. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
100%. And I think that's it, is that you have to take control, because I think for so long we give our power away to people that we
Mm,
assume have the answers. We do that in every area, right? Like in
yeah.
different areas of our life, health, business. And it really has to come back to, again, doing your own research and then trusting your gut and then following that as well.
Yeah, fabulous. And so from a what sort of things do you do now then? Do you do like you do strength training, or yeah, I know you follow a specific diet. So talk to me about again, what was the point at which you kind of went, okay, we need to sort this out. I think there
Yeah,
was a
so
moment for you with your eating.
yeah, so a couple of moments that then came a little bit later on. And one was, so after I had my second son, I had sepsis right after. I had an emergency C-section, ended up with sepsis. The girl who had her C-section right after me also had sepsis.
Ooh.
Again, we weren't listened to for so long, ended up in the hospital 10 days later, again, really, really struggling. Um, that then impacted the first few months of him. So I had a 2-year-old and then this baby that I really struggled to look after. And I basically just lay there and just fed the baby when I needed it and tried to rest, because when you've got sepsis, obviously it's your immune system is kind of down, and then it's antibiotics after antibiotics. And because I'm taking antibiotics, my gut was wrecked,
Mm,
which meant every single and this was March, so there was still a lot of winter bugs going on, every single virus I
yeah.
got.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until like kind of end of summer that I was out of that. And I know that really got me down kind of health wise. I managed to pick myself back up, but it was a very, very different after having my first son. So when I was pregnant with him, I ended up having to get straps to like keep my hips together. Because again, in pregnancy, that all kind of goes lax. People
Mm,
who are with me, it's even more so. And I was on
mm,
crutches for the last month with him. With Ethan, my second son, that was brought forward more. And then the recovery from his birth was so much worse. Obviously, first was a natural home birth, second was an emergency section with
yeah.
sepsis, and now I've got 2 babies. Then I had my third son 2 years later again. So he was a C-section. Again, I was on crutches and things a little bit earlier. C-section, he actually got stuck. So his birth was traumatic in another way. I didn't know that babies could get stuck in C-sections, but they had to use forceps. His little face was all bruised. There was like a doctor at one point literally lying on top of me, just pushing all his weight, and then another 2 doctors like trying to pull him out.
God.
So that was very rough. And then 7 months later, I fell pregnant with my daughter. So my body literally just had no time to recover. And I remember it was when I was pregnant with her. So I had the 3 boys, and when I was pregnant with her, and my body was just a mess. Like it was just a mess. And I was in so much pain. And I was on a lot of pain meds from the doctors. So I used to be on 3 different kinds of pain medication, and then I'd be taking medication to try and counteract
Yeah.
this the side effects of
Like
those medications.
omeprazole and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I ended up with stomach ulcers anyway, and
Okay.
ended up not being able to take any oral pain meds, and I still can't to this day. My stomach just got wrecked. And I remember I joined this group, this support group for people who have what I have. And it was the first time in my life I felt validated, because I'm someone who does a lot. I'm someone who looks a certain way and can really present really well, but I'm also someone that can't always just jump in a shower every single day. I'm someone that will go out to an event and sometimes it'll take me like a whole week to recover. Like
Mm,
it's behind the scenes that people don't see, like being in pain every single day and really having to manage what I do, and then the rest and recovery, the consequence that comes with doing these activities. And to be in a space where people get that and actually acknowledge how much pain, and can, because no one else can understand it unless they're going through it. Like I always say, I can't remember I can't remember ever not being in pain. Like
no.
I wish I could. I think there must have been a day that I wasn't in pain, and I'm like, I wish I could go back and remember what that feels like to not have that level of pain in your body. So I felt really validated, felt great until it didn't. Because a few months gone by, I had my kids, I was doing a lot, studying at the same time, in a lot of pain, and just really feeling so sorry for myself. And I remember lying on the sofa one day, being part of this group, and seeing someone complaining, and I was just like, fuck this shit. Like, I
I'm not
left the
doing
group.
this anymore. Yeah.
I was like, I am not doing this. When I got diagnosed by the rheumatologist, it says it's likely I'll be in a wheelchair by the time I'm 50, and to just kind of like get behind that. And I think I had started to create this as my identity then. I've only got so many good years. I'm in pain. Like each pregnancy, as I say, by the time I had Millie, I was actually hospitalised for most of the pregnancy because I couldn't cope with the pain that I was in. My hips had completely separated. So it's like if you've got, because I know people are listening to this, like it's like your hips, if you put your two fists kind of together, your pelvic bones kind of are meant to sit
Yeah.
like this,
Yeah.
and mine were sitting out and then twisted. So there was like big gaps, and the
Yeah.
amount of pain that I was in on just a daily basis was insane. But I remember in that moment just being like, this won't be my life. This will not be my life. And then really looking into mindset for health, really looking into energy. And from there, what ended up happening was dietary changes. So first thing was cutting out gluten, made a massive difference for me. Being more about mindset, really looking at not resisting the pain and being okay with that pain and starting to trust myself more, moving my body in different ways. And then from there, again, just getting into this stuff deeper and deeper, we ended up becoming vegans. That was after my daughter was born. She had a lot of allergies. We'd been looking into it for health wise anyway. And then that's why we went vegan. We've been vegan for 7 years now. Again, that really helped me. Now, this isn't to say that everybody should go vegan, but I do believe that dairy and gluten for me were massive, like flare ups.
Yeah.
And even if it wasn't, I think the meat thing, like people can have their opinions on that, but cutting out dairy and cutting out gluten was massive. And then cutting out a lot of sugar. Cutting out a lot of sugar in my diet really helped that as well. And then the more I got into the mindset and the energy work, then looking at the holistic side of why am I holding on to pain?
Yeah.
Why am I holding on to pain? Then it goes into like childhood traumas and patterns and programs and all the subconscious things. Because for me, it's always looking at all of it. Like, why are we energetically holding on to something? What is our mindset around something? And then what's the physical things that we can actually kind of control? And all coming from a point of deciding, like, this will not be my life. I am not going to let it play out just because other people have told me, well, this is just what it is.
Yeah. And that's huge, isn't it? Because actually you can create this narrative in your head, and we, with the pain science stuff, it is about, once you have a positive feedback loop of like, this is going to hurt, I know it's going to hurt, and now when I'm doing it, it is hurting, so there you go, I've proved it to myself, it is hurting. And that loop is so powerful when it gets going, and to be able to it's just finding a way to intercept that in some way, and whether that is a decision or creating loops where that isn't painful to do certain things, or but it is mindset. There's so much of it comes down to the way you think about what's happening to you, isn't it? For sure. And I think one of the things I wanted to pick up on there was how now you understand what's going on, then the boundaries that you've put in place in terms of, like you say, with around your diet, and again having to advocate for yourself, because when you go into a situation, there may not be always, I know you struggle sometimes to get vegan food, or sometimes it's not gluten free, and being able to actually stand in your power and say, no, I am going to need these things to be available for me. That takes some.
And then also as well, for me, it's like a choice. So like the gluten, for example, I'm gluten intolerant, but I don't have a gluten allergy. I know that eating gluten makes me feel worse, but there will be times where I'll pick the gluten pasta and pizza because it tastes better.
Yeah.
But what I have to then understand is, okay, tomorrow I'm not going to feel great. I'm going to feel really bloated. I'm going to feel really sluggish. I'm going to start to feel it in my joints. And over the next 2 to 3 days, I'm going to feel it more in my joints, and then it's going to ease off again.
Yeah.
So I think that as well, sometimes like there's this all or nothing mindset where it's the same with processed food and sugars, right? If I cut out processed, being vegan's one thing, and then the rise of processed foods being vegan, when there's not a lot of easily accessible, convenient. So you can't get like a healthy vegan takeout. Like
No.
you like it's really, unless you stay somewhere like in London or New York
Or
or
yeah,
where
or
we
it's dull.
live. Like I can't go to the shop. I can't even go to the shop and get a vegan sandwich, but I can go and get a vegan sausage roll, right? So it's
Yeah.
like then the convenience factor in an ideal world, and I make a lot of food from scratch, but that's not always possible and it's not always like desirable either. So there's advocating for yourself, but there's also like understanding your choices. So again, it's like I went to a concert last weekend and I had to leave halfway through. I was like living my best life the first half, and then I stopped, and then it was a histamine response for me as well, which is really common in what I've got as well. So histamine,
Okay.
but also my adrenaline was up here, and then the second I stopped, it plummeted, and my whole, the only way I can explain it is it felt like when I had COVID. And that felt like when I had sepsis. Like my whole body was in just severe pain and I was so ill, and I was like, I just need to leave and get home. Now, that for me was like, I'm good with that now. Like that's, I got to go and enjoy myself. I was there for a good hour and a half to 2 hours. Like I listened, I danced. I then had that reaction. I came home. The next couple of days I had to recover from that.
Yeah.
So then for me, it's like not living a life where, well, I'm not just going to not live my life. And I'm going to continue to see how I can move my body, how I can eat, how I can work on my mindset so that it doesn't have to be this way. But in the point right now where it is, I can either choose to do it, not do it, or do it, but in a way that it's kind of like weighing up the pros and cons and looking at, have you got the consequences? So, for example, I couldn't do something like that and then the next day go straight back to work.
No.
So it has to be, I've got a few days off, or it can't be like one thing, then the next thing, then the next thing, then the next thing. Like it's, I live a very, very slow life, a very present life, and a very intentional life. And yes, I love that life, but it's also been designed around my health, because I can't live this life that's every single day I'm just up at the same time every day, shower, get ready, oh, out the door, away doing this, away doing that. Like those days kill me.
No.
Like,
And it's really interesting, isn't it? Because I think if you, the more people, I don't think enough people recognize, even without all of the things that you have going on, I think we don't spend anywhere near enough time assessing where our energy flow is and how, like, I'm great first thing in the morning, but do not ask me a question after like 3 o'clock in the afternoon because it's gone. It's like, and so, whereas you're like a slow morning, I'm a up at 5, decisions being made, bam, 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 bam. And but you, I see you in the chat sometimes at like 9 o'clock. I'm like, how is her brain working at 9 o'clock at night? So,
yes, definitely, I must say that's so in the, because this is obviously you're a client of mine, right? So we're
yeah,
talking about the coaching chats here. So I'm a morning person, but I'm not a morning person, people person. So I'm a morning person as in like I'm up early. So I usually get up at 6 a.m. But I like my mornings for myself because that's when I'm my most productive as well. So
okay,
that's like where I look after like my business stuff. So like my business stuff, the kids stuff, the house stuff is all the morning. Then I tend to have like any kind of client work, so like this kind of stuff up till afternoon. Then I'm the same as you. Afternoon I am done. So
yeah,
afternoon is when I need to really step back, slow down. Then I've got dinner. Now if it's a working day, that's usually then I'll get my second burst because I've
yep,
rested, because for me I'm like, if I don't do this now, that's going to be something else that gets added on to like the next day. So I'm like, let me come in and it's almost like clean everything up so that I can rest again.
yeah,
So for me it's like these like pockets of time, but I love that as well. It's like really understanding where do you work best,
yeah,
and it's almost for me like I can do things for other people later in the day, but not for myself. Like
yeah.
myself, I need to give to in the morning, because then you've got that motivation. If it's for someone else, if it's cooking a dinner for the kids, it needs done.
Yeah,
You
like
have to
nobody,
do
they're
it.
not going to be like, oh no, it's fine, Mum, I'll just sort it out myself. No, absolutely, and it's yeah,
Yes, so
that
I
motive.
tend to cook like my breakfast, like a big high protein, like really nice big vegan breakfast. And like I'll have that usually like brunch I usually have actually, and that's like my, that's usually my biggest meal of the day, because that's when I've got my time to really like give to
Yeah.
myself.
Nice. And I like to say, I encourage people to do that so much because there is, and it's so difficult when you're in a 9 to 5 or, but if you're an entrepreneur and you are able, you have any amount of flexibility within your day, then I cannot tell you the benefit of leaning into noticing where your energy peaks are. It's just, yeah, it's like night and day. And as for me, I exercise in the afternoon because I've taken some calories on, and lifting heavy weights in the morning is just not fun with nothing in you. But yeah, so I tend to exercise because my brain kind of goes off, but it's okay to move my body, and motivation wise that's not an issue for me. But I know some people are like, get up, exercise first, get it done, tick it off the list. But where motivation is high and you can kind of just get it done. So yeah, it's leaning into that, isn't it? So definitely. Okay, what would you say then? I've asked everyone else this. So what would you say your 3 things of like absolutely non-negotiable must be done either daily or weekly, or like absolutely tip top have to be done for health?
For health, one thing, so this won't be the same for everybody, right? But it will help some people, and people who have got my condition, it can really, really help, and it's electrolytes. Like electrolytes just changed my life, because people tell you to drink more water, and I'm someone who is severely dehydrated all the time. And I would try and follow that, like drink more water, drink more water. I'd make myself ill. Like okay. I can't, because I can't absorb the minerals the same way. So I was overhydrating. So I was either overhydrated and sick and headaches, or underhydrated. And so electrolytes, so that's like my daily. Like I have like an electrolytes drink every single day. And sometimes that's my like rehydration sachet type things, like the liquid IV is the ones that I like. And sometimes that's my Celtic salt with lemon in it. It just depends. Sometimes, again, I'm going for more quick and convenient, and sometimes I'm on like my health kick and I'm doing it naturally. But regardless, like that's like a daily for me that is just changed everything. So I'm guessing for people who don't need that extra level of those minerals, like water, but also if you are someone that feels like you're consuming a lot of water but you're never hydrated, maybe it's electrolytes for you. So I have
electrolyte in the morning actually, and I did it as a kind of powerlifter athlete, and if I'm honest, it just makes me drink it. So I'm kind of like, you know what, even if I just wee it out, like it's not the end of, like I'm definitely drinking this because this is more fun than water. And so part of me is like, your body will just get rid of it. If it's, you know, too much salt, it'll just get rid of it. But yeah, that's a really, really great one. Okay. Any other, what else would you?
The next one is regular massages.
Yeah.
I've always been a regular, but not like a soft one. I'm a like get right in. And again, like I can justify it. You can justify it anyway, right? Just get massages anyway.
Yeah.
Like, but because of my muscles all being unstable, I tend to go to one. So I've got slight scoliosis, but it's not real. It's because everything leans over to one side. On my left hand side is really contracted, and just getting regular massages help with that. But again, I just think for anybody, like really getting that time for you. And for me, it's like a cheap way to get things moving in my body, get the lymph system moving, like without me having to do anything. Like I can lie there and like relax for an hour, but also feel like I'm getting like it taken care of. So
I think because I did obviously passive, you know, I did massage for years, and I think sometimes I was okay doing like regular treatments on people who were doing everything else. So it's like that's absolutely fine. I'm very happy to give you a passive treatment as long as like you're doing everything else, because it doesn't fix it, but it just helps so much, and there's lots of things that are going on there. So, and for you, like it's downtime away from 4 kids, 2 businesses, 6 dogs, donkeys, and whatever.
The whole farm up here. And the thing is, I must say as well that for people who have got my condition, if you're not doing anything else, then massage is actually going to be detrimental. It won't just not do anything, it could be detrimental, because the reason your body is stiffening is actually to protect the other parts. So if you loosen it, then you can actually have so again, it's one of those things that, but I think that's it needs to be, and I know you know this, and that's why everybody needs to work with you, Sam. Everybody's plan needs to be so individualized. Like you have to understand what you're doing, why, but it also has to fit with your lifestyle as well. Like it can't just, if you, like I said earlier, like I can't do Pilates and yoga, but if I was someone who loved doing Pilates and yoga, you better believe I'd do it, right? I'd then just have to look at being very, very careful and working with someone who understands my condition and maybe strapping up my main joints before I go into those sessions. So I'm just a big believer in do whatever the frick you want, but also understand your limits, like understand your limits and understand like, okay, how can I, and I think that comes back to like, even as a kid, what I was saying and like running these businesses and things, it's like, well, how can I do it? When so many people are like, I can't, I've got this condition, I can't do that. I've got this wrong with me, I can't do that. And whereas I just think it's like, well, how can I? Let me get curious. Is there another way? There has to be another way. I just believe that with everything, nothing is that black and white and there always gets to be another way. So what's the other way? So let me come in and find that. But third thing would probably be like fall in love with the food that you're eating and what you're putting into your body. Like I'm such a food is fuel, and especially when you become vegan and gluten free, you have to get really okay with just having chips and salad when you go out, because if that's all they've got, I'm like, listen, it doesn't matter, guys, like use book wherever. If they've got vegan options, amazing. If not, I'll have chips and salad. Like so there's part of you that for me food is just fuel, and I definitely look at getting the right food in, but also I have to enjoy what I'm eating. Like it's the same with exercise, with anything. Like I think you need to find something you enjoy, and that has to start by looking at how are you already living your life? How is that detrimental? How is it like I had to give up my last career of being a makeup artist because I just couldn't do it anymore. I was working in TV and film. We're outside for like 16-hour days. And I remember I used to have to get one of the assistants to lift my legs back into the car because I couldn't bend my knees by the end of the day. Like I used to get cramp and my hands would just stop working. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I still work a lot in my business, but it's now from my bed, it's from my sofa, it should be from this chair because this has got the proper lumbar support. But most of the time it's from my bed, right? And it's like so many people are just like, this is I'm injured, or I've got this condition, or I've got 4 kids, or I've got this, so I can't do this. And I think that that's the worst thing you can ever do, is take on a label and make it your identity. I do like labels because I think it gives a form of validation that I think for so many people, when they have been fighting to be heard, to be seen, to be acknowledged by the people in this world who are meant to support them and have the answers, things like our doctors, do you know what I mean, our GPs, our friends, our family, I think labels actually are really, really helpful.
Just explain things without having to kind of go
it's
into
like on
detail.
the day you get that,
Yeah.
after that, you need to then detach from it and let it go. You can't create as the identity. It's just the same as then like someone who's got brown hair or pink hair or blonde hair or ginger hair. It just is. It's just a fact. Cool, that's not who you are as a person though. And yes, it might mean that you have to, if you've got a certain condition or injury, you might have to adjust things or say no to things, but that it doesn't determine or dictate your whole entire life unless you let it.
And I think if anybody was the poster girl for that statement, it would be you, isn't it? It's taking that, and I think that is the thing, is to, you know, maybe even find someone who's doing what, or has what you have, and is already, you know, you've got evidence, then your brain has evidence that it is possible, that this is possible. And I can remember the very first sort of mindset thing somebody talked to me about, and I was going into a powerlifting competition, and I wanted to squat 90 kilos. And my coach at the time said something like, well, has anyone who, you know, has a female who is your age and who weighs what you weigh ever lifted this amount of weight? And I was like, all the time. They're like, well, then it's possible. Like you've already got evidence. And even when you don't have evidence, I mean, again, you're another poster book for like, well, okay, it hasn't happened yet, so maybe I'm the first one to make it happen. but finding someone who can kind of, you can look at and go, okay, well, they can do it, then it's possible. And I know one of your things is like, look, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And that is, it's really inspirational. So fabulous.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that's like, it's one of my biggest things. I just want people to know you can literally create any life you want, any life that you want. You can achieve anything you want. And it's like, will it look different for you depending on what else you've got on? 100%. But that doesn't mean that it's like, there's always going to be someone that's more privileged and someone that's less privileged. in their health and their wellness and their age and their environment and their race and everything. You're always going to find evidence of someone that's got it better and someone that's got it worse. So it's just like, why are you attaching a story to something when you can literally go and do something about it? And it might have to look different than what you thought, but that doesn't mean to say that you can't do it or you can't achieve it or you can't. It's just like people get so married to the way that things need to be. And I get it, right? It's like I've got children with additional needs, with autism, and I really had to grieve the life that I thought they would have. When I look at the life they've got now, it's even better, but in different ways that I get to do both. I get to be sad for the life that they would have had and love the life that we've created. Like and I think like it's never dismissing anyone's struggles, in the struggle, in the pain, in the additional needs, in the whatever it is. Like it's acknowledging them, but cool, now what?
Yeah. What's next?
Like, what are you going to do? Like that happened to you, like you lost someone or you're injured or you never got taught fitness. It's like or you couldn't afford like good nutrition or whatever it is, health, fitness, then business wise, parent wise, right, cool, everybody's got a sob story. What are you going to do about it now? And I think there's a time to be like, fuck, that's really hard. Like I'm so sorry that's been your experience. That's really hard. That conversation can happen once and then you can bring it back in and acknowledge it at certain points. But if you're constantly repeating that to yourself, you're not doing yourself any favors. Like you're just gonna, and that's where I seen myself going. And I remember I was watching, sorry, I'm totally going off point here. I remember I was watching a show, it's like a BBC show or something, and it was these people that went in and adjusted people's houses who were like disabled and made it and amazing, right? They're doing amazing things.
It was like DIY SOS or something like that.
Yeah. And there was this mum and she got a lot of adjustments in the house to basically be able to get her more from the bed to the bath to being able to do things for her kids and stuff a lot easier. And before I even knew what it was she had, within a few minutes I was like, she's got what I have.
Wow.
And then it shared and it was this exact same thing. She had it, pregnancies made it worse, pregnancy again made it worse. And I remember just sitting and I was like, that could have so easily been me. She was basically bedbound. She was basically bedbound and she was just, and I get people have got different levels, but everything she was describing was what I had and lived and what I'm currently living. But I've been able to minimize things. I've been able to adjust things. I've been able to not give. And seeing that was just a big, like, that literally was going to be a path. That's the path I was going down. That's the path that was going to be my life. And seeing how my life is now, I'm like, that's crazy because I decided, actually, no.
That's not mine.
And the thing is, if I end up in a wheelchair when I'm 50, I end up in a wheelchair when I'm 50. If it was going to happen, it's going to happen. But I'm going to do everything I can.
It's going to be the fanciest bloody wheelchair as well, right?
Yeah. Sparkles and glitter and diamonds.
Yeah. But I think also it happens so much as people age as well, doesn't it? So many people get to, they'll say, well, I'm 50 or 60 or 70 or 80, so this is just how it is. And that's a big thing for me. It's like, no, it's not actually. And it isn't, and it's not a reason. It is true. Like, that is true. And you will have certain things that are going on for you, but how that plays out is not written in stone at all. And that would be, one of my last questions is like, what would you have listeners want to take away from it? And I think that maybe that is it, that your past does not dictate your future, or, well, you say, I'm putting words in your mouth here, so.
No, 100% all that, but even that, see, on like the lifespan thing, see when people say, well, we're only going to live to like 80 or 90, I was like, the oldest person in the world has lived to 120, so that's my minimum. Like, they've already lived to 120, and we're even more advanced in health and wellness now, so why would we not assume that by the time we're that age we can live to like 150? Wow, and then even then, like, I've told my kids we're all getting cryogenically frozen. Like, we're getting cryogenically frozen. I've already looked into the company. Like, it is happening, and we will be brought back with like our consciousness and our nervous system into a little AI like future robot. That's gonna happen, because again, I'm just even. And I know this sounds so ridiculous, but even in death, I'm just like, well, it's not proven. It's happened. and we've got every evidence for it. And I know that sounds insane, but it's like we've got every like we don't know. We're in an era where things are happening so quickly that things are like I have this condition is genetic and it's not something that can be cured, it's something that can be managed until they find a cure.
100%. Exactly. Yeah. This is the thing, isn't it? And whilst I mean, I'm a bit cynical about all this sort of stuff because I'm like, it's only people, you know, the amount of money that someone is willing to put into the research for the thing that's going to that progresses stuff through. So that is just a case of somebody who's got a lot of money who wants to sort this out, and probably, you know, it's incredible what can be done. So, well, fingers crossed. You know, I really hope that is how this plays out. And thank you so much. Go follow Hayley. She's on Instagram. She's very fun to follow and is an all round absolute good egg and fabulous business coach. So yeah, go give her a follow and check her out. I will put all her details and everything in the show notes. But thank you so much. That has been such an interesting chat. I mean, the scope has been pretty wild. So
Thanks so much for having me on, Sam.
Thank you.